Shana Tova. Oh boy, we already warmed up last night. You guys are terrific. Let's look around at our full room here on Rosh Hashanah. How wonderful it is to be in our home, in our tent, in our sanctuary, all together for the first time since 2019 on one of our holiest days, Rosh Hashanah. How wonderful it is to see families sitting together, to see newcomers come into our space, to see people of all ages here, to see friends reunited. How wonderful it is just to be together. It really matters. Each of you matters to me, matters to our community, and we are so delighted to be able to host this here at Congregation Shir Shalom. We are using our gold books for Rosh Hashanah. Did everyone get a machzor, a high holiday prayer book? It looks so. Raise your hand if you don't have one. All right, great. Just a couple of notes before we get started. We have had some changes in our sound system that we're trying to adjust for, but please note that there might be some kind of wonkiness in the back to the front. So those of you kind of in the mid-level there between our social hall and our sanctuary, just be aware it might sound a little like stereo. For those of you using hearing devices, these do work. Do not go into the closet for them. They should be on the table for you available. Oh, look at that. They told me that beforehand, they said, Rabbi, pray for rain. They said, don't pray for rain. I said, no, I don't really have any pull when it comes to that. People keep thinking that I have anything to share. If anything, my wife is Shira. She knows much more about weather than I do. So we are going to have many different readers. For those of you coming up to reader, we have a microphone here in the front. We please, as you are comfortable with your masks or not your mask, we are really just delighted to have you. And here is Todd. All right, Todd tells me the rest of the room is going to fill in a hurry. But don't worry, they'll catch up with us. The Jewish service, people come late. We're going to begin with page 111 at the top, and we also welcome our virtual audience as well. Robin and Alan, Raphael and Galen, are going to read for us Ma Tovu, 111.
Ma Tovu, how good they are, these tents of Jacob. How beautiful the homes where Israel dwells.
And blessed are all who have a home, when so many yearn for shelter and for care.
And blessed are we who share this house, which shelters us, where we belong.
This house of Torah, this house of love, of sacred assembly and communal strength.
In small and humble rooms, in splendid sanctuaries, today our people greet the turning of the year.
We stand with all of them this morning, grateful we're alive to meet this day, first dawning of the year.
For all of us, no matter where we've traveled, come back to celebrate the season of return.
Give praise to this morning. Give thanks for our gathering. Give ear to the ancient call that brings us home.
Our hearts rise up in hope. Our spirits reach for new beginnings. Our voices, too, lift up a melody that celebrates today.
How good they are, these tents of Jacob. How beautiful the homes where Israel dwells.
We continue with Psalm 150 on page 135.
Hallelujah.
every quiet breath, let everything that breathes praise God. We turn to page 142, our call of community. We invite you to rise if you're able. Source of blessing, eternal our God, your power fills the cosmos, shaping light, creating darkness, making peace, and fashioning all things. We turn to page 147, and I'd like to call up Tara Karch-Cross for the reading. I think she's still, there she is. Tara, we need you. She's doing double duty.
My apologies. I am the blossom pressed in a book, found again after 200 years. I am the maker, the lover, and the keeper. When the young girl who starves sits down to a table, she will sit beside me. I am food on the prisoner's plate. I am water rushing to the wellhead, filling the pitcher until it spills. I am the patient gardener of the dry and weedy garden. I am the stone step, the latch, and the working hinge. I am the heart contracted by joy, the longest hair white before the rest. I am there in the basket of fruit presented to the widow. I am the musk rose opening unattended, the fern on the boggy summit. I am the one whose love overcomes you, already with you when you think to call my name.
Thank you. We continue with the Shema in the High Holiday Nusach, page 150. Seated. I'd like to call up Max Latnik, one of our recent B'nai Mitzvahs, to lead the V'ahavta on 152. It'll continue as well on 154.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'divartam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech Ushovecha ukumecha uchtartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtartam amuzizo beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kum mitzvotai V'hitam kedoshim Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Liot Lachem Le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Shakoach. Beautiful job. We continue on page 155 and like to bring up Julia and birthday boy Chris Cohan. Was it yesterday? 155.
Israel, your covenant with God is made of choices, holiness or profanity, life or its destruction. You can never keep from choosing.
If you set yourself to love God with everything you have, to obey God with your entire heart, God's gifts will be yours. A vital earth, its seas and continents moving slowly in their own way, the rain and sun and snow and clouds forming and changing, each in their own way.
If God's unity is always before you, all these will nourish and delight even longer than your days. The hills, the rainforests, the ice flows, and the deserts, the infinity of life that nests and grows here on earth with us. Every living thing will bless you, will welcome you as neighbor. What you produce will multiply in goodness, and you will not lack for what you need.
But if you forget God and choose instead to fashion gods of your own, if they spring up everywhere for you in your endless thirst for something undiscovered, you may lose everything you have, your family and your sustenance, your reason for being, and your place of burial.
This blue-green earth, so beautiful, so solitary, is as fragile as you are and as precious.
Beware, lest in giving way to excess you risk too much. Remember this and take it to heart. Teach it to those who come after you. Place it in their hands. Plant it in their minds. Meditate on these things at home and on the road, awake and asleep, in the beginning and at the end. Try to find them in every place we call our home.
We continue with the Michamocha proclaiming our freedom on page 164. Invite you to rise if you're able for our own prayers, beginning on page 166 and continuing through 180. Take an opportunity to pray the prayers of your heart, and whenever you're ready, you may be seated. We're going to continue on page 168 with Zochreinu. Turn now to the pivotal service here during the High Holy Days, the Untitled Chapter on page 174. This is the service where we recognize our own mortality. We look deeply, not to cause us to fear, but to give us the bravery to proceed ahead. And in the middle there, we'll read together, "Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love. Your reign is a reign of truth." Page 176, together. "And so a great shofar will cry, Tekiah, a still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, Behold the day of judgment, For they too are judged in your eyes, even when they are not blameless. All who come into this world pass before you, like sheep before their shepherd. As a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff, you count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments. And on page 178.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
178. 178. Together on 178. On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted? On 180. But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. we turn towards the shofar service at this point, one of the most exciting services of all in all our Jewish repertoire. And we are going to be calling up on 197. I'd like to have Jessica Cunningham come up for the reading Remembered for Life.
Now we will count to 12, and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12, and you keep quiet, and I will go.
The shofar says what we can't say. Sometimes words aren't enough. So I'd like to bring up Stephen Glickman. I see Joe back there. I saw Stephen with... Stephen is third generation shofar blower, and he has it in his blood. He knows it. There was a wonderful story about him when he was 7 or 8 years old, pictured with his father and grandfather, all of them who did the shofar. Sherry Jo's getting ready if we need her. I saw him there. No one's used to it anymore.
It's rainy out.
Todd's like, yeah, let's get to the service. Right? We're going to be on page 208 for the shofar blessings as soon as we retrieve our shofar blower. Yeah.
I think it's 206.
Oh, sorry. Let's see. Oh, yes, 206. Did I say 208?
Is it?
I don't know what I said.
I think it's 208.
206. Bruce, where are you? Come up, tell a couple knock-knock jokes.
Here he comes.
There we are. And we're so blessed. There have been Glickmans that have played the shofar here at Shir Shalom probably for almost 50 years or more, right? Yeah, at least, maybe close to the entire length of this building. All right, so Cantor, are we ready? Let's all rise for our shofar blessings. Page 206.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishma kol hashofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה
Blessed are you, God, who brings us life. Let us arrive here and be present with one another today. We're going to be doing close to the 100 blasts. This is a special request from our shofar blower, so let's see. Here we go. I have out my Orthodox, my new machzor here to help us. Okay. Tikiya. Shivarim Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shivarim Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shvarim Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shivarim. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shvarim. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shvarim. Tikiya. Tikiya. Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shivarim Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shivarim Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shivarim Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shivarim. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shivarim. Tikiya. Tikiya. Shivarim. Tikiya. Almost there. Tikiya. Trua. Tikiya. You want to try Tikiya Gadol? He's got it. Tikiya. Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Trua. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, together. Tikiya Gedolah. Blast. How do you like that? All right. To us For the past 10 years, Stephen has been asking me to do the traditional 100. There's supposed to be 100. We don't actually know what the blasts were in biblical times. So the idea is we'll do 100 of them. If we do 100, we're guaranteed. And I think he got pretty close. What do you say? We still have another shofar blast at the end. So we'll really get to hear his shofar, his Tikiya Gedolah, and the children's service, the family service at 3 o'clock. So I think he's going to make it this year, actually. We'll see if he wants to do it again next year. Shana Tova. It is really wonderful just to see you, just to be here. Honestly, I didn't really think we would make it here. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, we thought, oh, by high holidays, we'll be okay. By the next year, we'll be okay. By the next year. Well, it's that next year. And how wonderful, at least to have a semblance of where we want to be. And it's been quite a time for our community. It's really nice to be able to see one another. So much changes in just a couple of years. It's really remarkable. And I think only when we gather together in these moments, like on Rosh Hashanah, do we really notice the changes, both the growth and also the loss. So we come in to this high holidays, hopefully we'll feel a sense of normalcy in our lives, in our communal lives. All right, I want to talk to you about something a little bit more serious. And it involves when I was at Chautauqua this summer on that fateful day. I was walking with my 12-year-old son over there, Boaz. It was the afternoon of the attack on Salman Rushdie, and I felt at a loss for words. It was a beautiful day in a beautiful place. The sun was shining. The campus of the Institute looked spectacular. People of all ages meandered up and down the steep hills of the campus. Yet everything felt wrong. As we walked, we noticed friends consoling one another. Their faces looked sullen, and they spoke in quiet tones like they were sharing a secret. We could both feel the heaviness that hung in the air. Heading down the steep hill of the campus to the Athenaeum Hotel, Boaz began to talk. In rapid succession, in a way only a 12-year-old can, he rattled off a list of all the terrible events that had happened in the past year. The hostage crisis in Colleyville, the invasion of Ukraine, the attack on Tops Friendly Market, the school shooting at Robb Elementary. After each one, I felt a great sadness and anger. It was a lot to take in for me, let alone for my soon-to-be bar mitzvah child. At a certain point, he stopped walking and he turned to me. And I remember this moment so clearly. He said, "Abba, what kind of world are we living in?" In that moment, a moment of terrible grief and loss, my heart broke. Indeed, what kind of world were we living in that people could do such terrible things to one another? I stood momentarily at a loss. Reaching into my bag of rabbinic wisdom, I came up empty. I tried to find words, but there were none. We continued to the hotel, got ready for Shabbat, and headed over to services at Hurlbut Sanctuary. There we were greeted by dozens and dozens of congregants who had been in the auditorium that morning. The question Boaz had just asked me hung in the air like a retort. That night we sang, we cried, we consoled one another. It was clear that neither Chautauqua or any of us would be the same. In the several months that have passed, Boaz, I want you to know I've had a chance to think about the question. And today I'd like to attempt an answer. Not just to you, but to all of you and to myself. I'd like to begin with the words of Salman Rushdie himself. Words that he composed in the Satanic Verses, that book that he wrote more than 30 years ago that made him famous and put his life at risk. How many of you have read the Satanic Verses? It's a wonderful book, and it's not like something you would think would put someone's life at risk. But he wrote there a question. What is the opposite of faith? Not disbelief. Too final, certain, closed. Itself a kind of belief. Doubt. Doubt is the opposite of faith. The doubt that Rushdie was writing about was not about whether God exists or what type of religion you believed in or about religion at all. That would be one thing. No, the type of doubt that Rushdie was writing about was much harder and bigger. The type of doubt with much greater and graver consequences. Rushdie's doubt was doubt about everything. Whether the world at the core is good, whether we are good, whether life itself is worthwhile. This is the type of doubt that can easily consume and subsume us. Because when you ask me what kind of world are we living in, I believe this is the type of doubt that you are asking me about. First, I want to let you know that it's okay to express this. All of us, no matter our age, feel this sometimes. Your Ima and I felt this in January when we heard the awful news that our friend Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker was being held hostage in the synagogue in Colleyville. We thought, Colleyville, why on earth would he be attacked down there? It was Shabbat Shirah, the Shabbat when we read the Song of the Sea, one of the most joyful Shabbats of the year. Your Ima called me crying after being in contact with Charlie's wife, Adina. How could this be happening? I remember watching your soccer game at the Sportsplex in Tonawanda and feeling bereft. The world around us continued on as normal while our friend's life hung in the balance. This was someone who had danced at our wedding, whose children we'd watched grow. In that moment, our hearts filled with utter fear and terror. We could barely breathe until we heard the news that our friend was going to be okay. I felt that doubt again in March when we invited Reverend Mykola Drojfic of St. John the Baptist Ukraine Catholic Church in Kenmore into our Friday night services, and he stood where I am. It was a month into Russia's invasion of his homeland. He spoke from his heart, asking us to pray for the war to be over as soon as possible. I could see how it was tearing him apart. I felt it as well in May, after the shooting, after hearing about what happened at Tops Friendly Market on Jefferson. Standing the next morning with hundreds of people from all over Buffalo and the country, I could see the tears and the anger. How could someone have done this? I felt it 2 weeks later in learning about the shooting in Uvalde, and I felt it walking with you at Chautauqua. Indeed, as you asked, what kind of world do we live in? But side by side with the fear and doubt, I felt love. I felt hope. Your Ima and I felt those same emotions and our utter joy when we learned the good news that Rabbi Charlie and the other congregants that were being held hostage with him had escaped, and the bravery our friend showed in confronting his assailant with a chair and making it out alive, and the thousands and thousands and thousands of people of all faiths and no faith, ethnicities, nationalities that gathered around him and his family, his community, to offer support. I felt love and hope in watching our congregant Sheila Bernard Tucker organize a drive of vital supplies to give to Rev. Drojfic. I felt love and hope in the work of Molly Carr at Jewish Family Service and all of the resettlement agencies who have helped bring over 200 Ukrainians to Western New York. I felt love and hope in the endless stream of flowers decorating Jefferson Avenue and the more than $5 million raised for the families of victims and others present that day. Love and hope in the lines and lines of people bringing and receiving food on Ferry Street in the weeks after. Boaz, you and I, along with your Ima and siblings, personally delivered food and supplies to Ferry Street. We saw both the seemingly endless line of people needing it and the seemingly endless line of people there to provide it. Doubt, hope, love, and faith. They all exist simultaneously. This is what our friend Wendy K. Smith and her colleague Marianne W. Lewis in their book, Both and Thinking, call a paradox, contradictory yet interdependent elements that exist over time. Like yin and yang, good and evil, happiness and despair, faith and doubt exist simultaneously and continuously. Instead of running away from these contradictions, Wendy and her co-author tell us to run toward them. Doubt has always been there. On Rosh Hashanah, we feel it when we read about Abraham watching Hagar and her son Ishmael disappear into the wilderness. We feel it when we read about Abraham lifting his hand to his son Isaac to sacrifice him on God's command. We feel it in the long, lonely blast of the shofar, both uplifting and deflating at the same time. But hope and love are here with us as well. They are in the voice of the angel directing Hagar and Ishmael to safety. They are in the voice of the angel staying Abraham's hand, sparing Isaac. Doubt and faith, in all fairness to Salman Rushdie, are not opposites. They are interdependent. Inside of doubt, you will find faith. Inside of faith, you will find doubt. In order to be the best human beings that we can be, we need both. In order to make the best possible world we can, we need both. Too much faith, and we will overstep our boundaries and hurt one another. Too much doubt, and we will no longer be able to function in the world. More than most people, Salman Rushdie knew this. He knew this when he first wrote the Satanic Verses. He knew it when he took the stage of the amphitheater on that fateful morning. After more than 30 years of living under a fatwa, of not knowing when or where someone would come for him, Rushdie had a choice to make. Either bunker himself behind walls or live his life despite it. His mere arrival at Chautauqua was a sign of what he had decided. As the Torah tells us in Deuteronomy, "See, I place before you a choice between life and death. Choose life." Rabbi Charlie and his synagogue chose life when they returned to the synagogue services 2 weeks after the hostage crisis. Buffalonians chose life when 2 months and 1 day after the attack at Tops Market, the store reopened to the public. Reb Droifich and his community knew that his fellow countrymen and women chose life when 6 months after the invasion, they still continue to fight. And the people of Uvalde, Texas, chose life when they returned to school 2 weeks ago. Despite everything that he and his family and community endured, our friend Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker continues to declare, we can't be afraid to walk out the door, and we can't be afraid to walk into it. Boaz, you remember at services that night on that Friday night, Chautauqua, I asked for a show of hands who had been in the amphitheater. Of the 100 or so people there, the majority raised their hands. But as shaken as they were, they still came to services to pray, to sing, to laugh, to love. Coming to services this Rosh Hashanah is a sign of our choice as well. Despite everything we have been through, despite all of our questions and doubts, we are here today to pray, to sing, to laugh, to love. I began my answer with a quote from Salman Rushdie, and I will end it with one as well. In a book of essays he published a few years after the fatwa, he wrote about his approach to being a writer. Go for broke. Always try and do too much. Dispense with safety nets. Take a deep breath before you begin talking. Aim for the stars. Keep grinning. Be bloody-minded. Argue with the world, and never forget to keep a hold of the 1,001 things, childhood, certainty, cities, doubts, dreams, instants, phrases, parents, loves, that goes on slipping like sand through our fingers. He was telling us to choose life. Live in the midst of faith and doubt. It is the only meaningful option that we have to a sweet and happy year ahead. Shana Tova U'Mituka. May it be so. If you look in your leaflet, there's a song, If We Loved Like That. turn now to Avinu Malkeinu on page 223. And we invite you to rise. We'll read together. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, we have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love. Remain standing for the Torah service on 228. If all of our Torah carriers could come up to the front. We have David Sapphire, Chuck Korn, and Kirsty Henry. And Todd Sherman. We'll start with the 13 attributes on 228.
Adonai, Adonai, Eurachu v'chanu, Herech Hapayim, v'rav chesed ve'emet, Noseh chesed la'alavim, Noseh avam v'fesha v'chata'a v'nakeh, Adonai.
of 228, a call and response.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael
was the first time we really had done that with our whole congregation. Wasn't it wonderful to bring that ritual back? We're going to turn now to our Torah reading. And let me get you our list. Oh, here we go. Okay. So first of all, we're going to be on page 238. For the first Aliyah, we have, we're going to invite up pretty much the three Horowitzes. They're going to be coming. Harvey is going to be reading number 1. This is a very special Aliyah because we have this Zlotnick family. We heard from Max earlier, so Petra's Zlotnick family are going to be doing the Aliyah, and this is very meaningful. David here is a cardiac surgeon that worked on Harvey, and one of the reasons that Harvey was able to be here is because of him. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amin V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Yesher Koach. For the second Aliyah, we have Harvey's granddaughter, Sonia, is going to be reading. We're on Genesis 21, verse 7. And for the Aliyah, we call up Jeff and Harvey. Yamdu Mishpachat Horowitz La Aliyah Sheni.
Untitled Adonai Hamorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Harvey, if you could stay up there and serve as Gabbai. Cantor Frank is going to be reading from verses 14 through 21 on page 239. And for our third Aliyah, our announcer extraordinaire, Yamdu, Yamod, Bruce Laliyah HaShlishi.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
noticed that she took the long portion.
There's only a little more life out here.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen.
Shekoach. We're going to put the cover on the Torah there, and we're going to turn towards our prayers for healing. Yeshikoach to all of our readers and blessers of the Torah. And thank you, Harvey, for helping out there. So we're going to, the prayer for healing on page 244 at the top. I'd like to go around, and if you have people whose names you want to call, just raise your hand. Jeffrey Horowitz, do you want to come up here to this podium for the Haftorah, which can be found on page 247.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim v'ratzah v'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nevi'ei hamet v'tzedek. Vayehi ish echad min haramatayim sofim mehar Ephraim ushmo Elkanah ben Yerocham ben Elihu ben Tohu ben Tzuf Ephrati v'lo shetei nashim shem achat Chana v'shem hashenit Penina vayehi lifnina yeradim u'Chana en yeradim ve'ala ha'ish hahu me'iro miyamim yamima v'hishtachavot v'rizboach l'Adonai tzevaot b'shilo v'sham shenei b'nei Eli chafni u'finechas kohanim l'Adonai vayehi hayom vayizbach Elkanah v'natan v'lifnina ishto u'chobaneha u'venoteha manot u'chana yiten mana achat apayim ki et chana achat ahev v'Adonai sagar rachma v'chiasata tzarata gam ka'as ba'avor har'ima ki sagar Adonai be'ad rachma v'chein ya'aseh shana v'shana midei avota bevet Adonai ken tachisena v'tivkeh v'lo tochal vayomer la Elkanah isha Chana rame tivki v'rame lo tochli v'rame yerach levavech halo anochi tov lach me'asara banim v'takam Chana acharei achra v'shilo v'acharei shato v'Eli hakohen yoshev al hakisei al mezuzat hechal Adonai v'hi marat nafesh v'tipalel Adonai uv'chol tivkeh v'tidor neder v'tomar Adonai tzivaot imra'o tir'eh ba'ani amatecha u'zachartani v'lo tishkach et amatecha v'natata la'amatcha zera anashim u'netativ l'Adonai kol yemei chayav u'mara lo ya'ale al rosho v'haya ki hirbata l'hipalel livnei Adonai ve'eli shomer et piha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzor kol haolamim tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh ha'medaber u'mekayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'zikaron hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu lechavod u'letifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach u'mevarchim otach יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד, וברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. ביום הזיכרון.
It's now time to hear some words from our president, Todd Sugarman.
Can you hear me? Can you hear that? Everybody hear me back there?
Speak up, young man.
All right, speak up. Welcome, friends. Before I share my speech with you, I'd like to mention that someone very special to us is not here with us anymore. As you may already know, Paul Staley, our beloved organist of over 20 years, passed away suddenly in July. He was a wonderful and talented person. His loss is deeply felt by our Shir Shalom family, especially now that these are the first high holidays without him. As you enter or exit the sanctuary, please look at the plaque we have in memory of Paul. It's on the back wall next to the congregation Shir Shalom Memorial Board. Okay. At this time of the year, I give the State of the Temple speech, where I thank the clergy, staff, lay leaders, and volunteers. Everyone deserves to be thanked, so thank you to all that help make Shir Shalom a great place to come and worship. However, I want to talk about the value of membership. Usually around this time of the year, congregants think of the value of their membership. What does a membership at Shir Shalom include? Well, first of all, and most importantly, you are part of a community. You become part of other events such as religious services, social groups, which you can join, and of course, volunteering for different events are just part of every congregation. However, it is time to give you more, and the more came to me during our 10-year anniversary party. If you weren't there, you missed it. As I said in my article in the High Notes, I believe it was the greatest party ever held at Shir Shalom. We had 220 fellow congregants who attended this incredible evening. Our community came together to do something other than worship together. We danced, ate, and drank together. When the party was over, I realized we had to offer more to our congregants. We had to offer more things that don't align with religion. Sorry, Rabbi. But still involve the members of the CSS community. So from now on, we will be offering an annual summer celebration with a DJ, a bonfire, food, and drink. We will also offer an annual winter celebration. And to kick off the first annual winter celebration with a tremendous help from Nancy McCourty, we have booked the Boys of Summer Band. It's a very popular, I'm sure everybody knows this band, upbeat in Buffalo area, and it's hard to book. And they will be here on March 25th. This event will be in our social hall and a smaller version of the summer celebration. However, there will be dancing, food, and drink. David Sapphire used to tell me we should build a gym and offer basketball and other things in our building. It's a great idea, but we never did it. It's probably too expensive. So now instead, we will try something smaller. I want to build 2 pickleball courts in our parking lot in May. Also, I'd like to install pickleball courts right there in our social hall. It's not funny, guys. We're going to do it. I have to do more research on the floor, but I'm talking to Jeff Balsam today. It seems like it will withstand all the running on it. I'm committed to getting this done. We have a great picnic area. We actually have a volleyball net. Starting in May of next year, if you have a party at your house that might be too big and you're thinking about going to a park or a public shelter, you can use our picnic area. My oldest daughter lives in St. Pete, Florida, and she just joined a temple there. Once a month, the congregation is invited to meet at a local restaurant for brunch where they discuss topics that the rabbi suggests. I'd like to research it, develop it, and get that done. Now when you think about your membership at Shir Shalom, and hopefully when you tell your friends about what kind of membership you get here, you tell them, not only do I have a great and talented cantor, a very generous and compassionate rabbi, hardworking staff and lay leaders that will go above and beyond to make this community feel like a family, you can also put on your calendars that there will be an annual summer party at Shir Shalom in July, an annual winter party in March, and if you play pickleball or you want to learn, there'll be courts at your temple. And if you want to have a picnic or celebrate a family event, you have it at your temple. So now when you are getting ready to pay for your membership or give an annual giving donation, you can say to yourself, wow, I really do have great value at this congregation. Hashanah Tova, and I hope to see you all here March 25th. Thank you.
Let's turn to page 276, 277 for Hashivenu. Page 270, let me get you the right page. 279, I'd like to invite up Larry Poses. As we move towards the end of our service, a prayer for the righteous anger.
Misery for breakfast, morning coffee with the news of distant deaths, because someone's always suffering. And there's bound to be a crisis raging somewhere, or a quieter catastrophe. Barely at the threshold of our notice, we're accustomed to the feeling of something going wrong. Like static in the background, tuned out so we can get on with our day, and it's just the same as yesterday and nothing can be done. But there's not much point in getting too upset. But if something were to shock us, like a baby's piercing wail or a fire bell in the night, like a punch in the stomach or a puncture in the eardrum, like a savage call to conscience, or a frantic cry for help, we would scream like a shofar and get mad enough to act. When a ram's horn is sounded in a city, do the people not take alarm?
That's our call to action as we move now to the Aleinu, page 286. I invite you, those of you who are able to rise, 286.
Oh
89. Seated. We turn now to the Mourner's Kaddish. As Todd said, we're remembering Paul Staley, but many people here we're remembering. The prayer itself is on page 292. It's during our holidays. That's when we particularly miss the people that are no longer with us. In our community, we are mourning Nancy Schiller, who died this past week. May her memory be for a blessing. On our Shloshim list, those who died in this past month, Nicholas Caracello, Ruth Hellman, Helen Weiser, and Tricia Woodson. On our yard site list from years past, we remember Gloria Atlas, Jack Bernstein, Solomon Bahovsky, Estelle Borowitz, Barbara Brogadier, Leo Berwick, Sarah C. Carr, Dora Chapovetsky, Malka Chaya Chapovetsky, Pesach Chapovetsky, Yankiv Joseph Chapovetsky, Lorraine Cherbo, Saul Cutler, Gerald Glasser, Benjamin Golden, Jacob Hesch, Selah Hesch, Lizzie Iggers, Betty Markle Jacobson, Milton Jaffe, Leo Kahn, Kenneth Karch, Harriet Carls, Jack S. Knopp, Norman Levine, Marie Malucci, William Mintzer, Milton Phillips, Aaron Plaskin, Pauline Rosikoff, Edith Schwartz, Mervyn J. Schwartz, Minnie Sirota, Goldener Shapoznikoff, Isidore Simon, Susan Solander, Bayless, Evelyn Solomons, Benjamin Starsky, Sam Sabatnik, Jerry Simons, Martin Tall, Minnie Tobkin, Lawrence Vogel, Louis E. Weinberg, Harriet Chazen Wexler, Minna Winiger, Mary Wonder, and Bella Zebrook. If you have other names you'd like to say, just raise your hand. If anyone ever has any names that are not listed, just call our office. We'd be happy to put them on. Again, page 292, all those whose custom it is to rise. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach urtei, v'yamlik ma'urtei, v'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach leolam olmei omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'rechu. Leila u'leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Damiran b'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromah. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn. May we be a source of comfort to those bereaved, and may our world be at peace. And you may be seated. Zikronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. For our announcements today, I'd like to invite up Bruce Corris, who also helped to organize our services here.
Lashana Tova, everyone. By the way, quick clarification. Todd neglected to mention that he got the rabbi's blessing to do the pickleball courts. But the rabbi said they have to be kosher dill pickleball courts, just so you know. Thank you to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, Ken Kaufman, our choir, our CSS singers, everyone who took part in today's service, for giving us such a wonderful Rosh Hashanah morning service. It is so nice to see such a large room full of people as we return to normalcy as best we can. The Torah procession, everything is just, it really feels right. And it's just nice that we are able to take this step. A couple of giveaways, if you didn't get them when you walked in, be sure you do on the way out. There's a bookmark that you were given. Some of you, if you didn't get it, check with them on the way out. There's a bookmark that was given out with the prayer book, sponsored by Life and Legacy through the Foundation for Jewish Philanthropies. There's also a wine glass, a gift from Women of Shir Shalom in honor of our 10th anniversary. So if you didn't get them on the way in, please get them on the way out. Are we out of the bookmarks? Okay, great. Speaking of your prayer books, by the way, many of you have looked inside and noticed that there's a dedication in your book. If it's not, that's an opportunity. We have an opportunity for you to do a dedication plaque inside the High Holiday prayer books. Talk to Joanne after the services or pick up a form outside the office. It can be in memory of someone, in honor of someone, whichever you prefer. And of course, since we use our High Holiday prayer books for almost 40 years before they're replaced, you're going to get your money's worth out of that dedication. The Rosh Hashanah services are going to continue this afternoon. Family service at 3 o'clock. That's with Rabbi Alex Cantor-Frank and Dr. Andy Simons. It will not be outside under the tent. We'll be here in the sanctuary. That will be followed by Tashlich at 4 o'clock. I will channel my Jewish mother and remind you, wear a jacket, bring an umbrella, make sure you have waterproof shoes. If it's too rainy when we come our time for Tashlich, I think the rabbi might give a special dispensation to toss our pebbles into a puddle in the parking lot and call it a day. And they are pebbles, by the way. We are using pebbles instead of bread because it's more environmentally friendly. So that's this afternoon. Tomorrow morning we have second day service. That's tomorrow morning at 10:30 here in the sanctuary. Special thank you to Todd and his crew from TLS Landscaping. Every year in time for the high holidays, they're out there at Whitechapel trimming and cleaning up and everything. And I know that many of us have a loved one buried at Whitechapel, and it really means something when we get out there and see how nice it looks. Thank you for that. That's a blessing. Let's see. Oh, a few more things, and then we're done. Yeah, there's a complimentary breakfast bagel box that's coming up after Yom Kippur services next week. There's still time to sign up for that. It is sponsored by the rabbi and his discretionary fund. Thank you for that. Make sure you get your notice into Joanne by Wednesday for that. That is sponsored by, as I mentioned, the rabbi's fund and is catered by Johnny C's. Thank you to Julia Cohan for assembling our donation bags for the High Holiday Food Drive. Rabbi talked about the top shooting in his sermon. Feedmore, Western New York, which is already been really strapped to help people through the pandemic, had to step up big time after the top shooting to help an East Side community that lost its only supermarket. So our food drive this year is particularly valuable to help replenish the shelves at Feedmore. And of course, Walk Off Hunger is coming up October 15th. You may have noticed the flyer out in the lobby. Look for an email with more information on that. This is our 15th annual walk, so that's very important. The rabbi's sermon was really, really good. He has prepared a binder out there which has highlights of his first 10 years of High Holiday sermons. Please pick one up on the way out. If you need anything during the High Holidays, talk to Joanne, any of the ushers who are wearing badges and boutonnieres, the rabbi. We're all here for you. You leave the cantor alone. She's a little busier right now. I mean, seriously, preparing all the music, chanting the Torah, busy. As you leave today, please use parking lot etiquette. We have a big crowd today, a lot of cars in the parking lot. Todd has graciously provided guys from his company to help with the traffic out there. Pardon me? Oh, they're gone? Oh, man, demolition derby in the parking lot. Those of you who have, those of you who've taken my defensive driving class know that if you get a speeding ticket in a work zone, your points are doubled on your driver's license. If you hit someone in the temple parking lot during the high holidays, your points are doubled on your record with him. So, be careful out there as you leave. Be patient. Shabbat, I almost got through it. L'Shana Tova. I almost did it. I was good last night. L'Shana Tova, Happy New Year, a healthy New Year, a safe New Year, and thank you for being part of this truly amazing Shir Shalom family.
Thank you, Bruce. And don't worry, we all slip up there. We'll turn to 299 for Ein Kelohenu, a traditional closing prayer for the High Holy Days. Because the Horowitz family did such a marvelous job, why don't you come up and lift up our cup there as we do Kaddish and Hamotzi on page 300. Weren't they fabulous readers there? You could say it. Go for it. In L'chaim. And Sonia, want to take off the cover? There we go. We promised you, you guys can take the challah. We promised you, Stephen, one more time. Getting up to our goal of 100 here. All right. It was wonderful to see him. It's truly hard to do all that. So thank you. Okay, ready. Let's rise for our shofar blast here. And we'll all say Tikiyah Gedolah together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Tikiyah Gedolah. And we have our closing songs. Song here.
Baruch atah
To the man of the basket.
Man with the basket, please accept our humble offering.
Man with the basket. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. You're feeding back. You're feeding back. Well, the assisted listening devices are working. Everything's on. Hi. Good morning. Nice to see you. Mike, what did you come in there to do?
You know what? Frankly, I finally got down to the waistline. I think I'm fitting the suit. It's a really old suit. And I actually was bigger and I had to take it in at one point. And it's been so tight now. Got to wait. Some of my own suits. So.
should believe, and of course you should believe me because what I say is always true. So I mean, it's like I don't get. I wanted something different. I knew it was going to be different because I didn't want to go through the whole thing. I told her, this is going to be different. But I think I shocked people. I mean, I really did. How did you come across that? I was going to get it done, or what did you think? I know, but you take it seriously that hey, we're going to get 2 pickleball courts. Because I am putting 2 pickleball courts in here. In the social hall. Already measured it out. What? Why? Because we're going to offer more than just regular stuff. Why not? Why not? We're not using this building. Why not? Right. Yeah, but it's so popular. So the thing is, though, I'm telling you, I'm going to get it going. But this thing with the parties, we've already had a party. Now we're going to do another one. We're going to be doing it in March. It's booked. We're ready to go. I have to tell you something. I'm going to put it out there again. But I mean, this is something that we offer other, different. We got to start offering this stuff. No, I'm not looking right, but I think that's what I'm saying. More has to do with this. I think people they were shocked, Blaine. They were shocked, but I think though once it sinks in, and I put it out through emails again, maybe they'll. It was different, that's for sure. I shocked a lot of people. They're only 40 by 20. We can put 2 of them. What? No, it's a wooden floor. Already researched it. Oh, yeah. You wait and see. You wait and see how popular it's going to be. I'll tell you, people are going to, once I put it out there, you watch and see everybody using it. I'm telling you, there's certain times you're not going to use it, but I'm telling you something. This is going to be, you watch and see, man. You watch and see. Just watch me, bro. How can you doubt me? I know. How can you doubt me? We're covered insurance too and everything. No, we have certain times. Zephyr and I are working on it. So you got certain times, and it's all going to be rearranged. It's all going to be arranged. You watch and see. Once you get it going,